Hi there. Many of us graduate researchers are doing PhDs because we're knowledgeable in our content areas. Quite a few of us, however, are not writers. We're not comfortable writing, and we're not really sure how to organise our ideas in linear text. I'm Dr. Jen Anderson, and welcome to the Study and Learning Centre video workshop, Facing the Blank Page, in which we'll try out many different ways to get you writing and keep you writing your master's or PhD, dissertation or thesis. Like all things, skill develops with practice. While the information in this workshop is general, it can easily be applied to your specific project. In this workshop, you'll understand why writing can be difficult. You'll be introduced to a lot of strategies to help overcome any resistance you may have to writing, and tips to help you maintain motivation and keep writing. First of all, let's deal with the barrage of well-meaning advice you've heard before that have probably found demotivating. Madam Know-it-all suggests that you just begin at the beginning, but you may not even know where the beginning is. In fact, the beginning is often the hardest place to start. In the humanities, at least, you'll probably write the beginning many times to reflect how you understand your work to have changed. Australian fiction writer Kate Grenville's advice is so much more comforting. She says, it doesn't matter where you start, what's important is that you finish. Start where you feel you have something to say. Here's another gem from Madam Know-it-all. Before you write, know what you want to say. Well, this sounds like sensible advice, but it does not take into consideration the fact that we learn what we want to say through reading, talking, and writing about our project. Writing takes multi-dimensional ideas out of your brain and creates a linear logical progression. The more we write and extend our thinking, the deeper our knowledge can grow. We talk about writing your way into knowledge and deeper understanding. Here's Madam Know-it-all with more advice. Writing should be grammatically correct. If this advice does not make you freeze and go to the kitchen for ice cream comfort, then you must be really great at grammar. Most of us are not grammar kings and queens, and that's not why we're here doing postgraduate research. More important than grammar is having ideas in relationship to other ideas and being able to write them down. Your early writing is a draft, so just keep writing. At the same time, it may be in your long-term interest to learn more about grammar. Check out some of the links in the references on the final slide. Madam Know-it-all says you have to be inspired. I think all of us who decide to commit a long time to researching one topic are excited every now and then, but sometimes inspiration leaves us, and it's just all anxious effort trying to understand what's going on and how to make something of what we're learning. If we wait for inspiration all the time, we might wait a very long time. It's important to write every day, to get words onto the paper. Write about things you can write about. Keep your self-esteem high. More well-meaning advice that can make us irritated is write without distractions. All very well, but some of us lead very busy lives. There are children or housemates or friends or lovers. There's shopping and cooking and cleaning. There's exercising and relaxing. All of these demand our attention, and we should give it wholeheartedly. But how can we find those precious hours to write without distraction? That's the challenge. Making the time and finding a quiet place to study. What about this one? If you can't do it well, don't write at all. This has got to be the worst advice ever. Careful practice leads to improvement in skills. Writing about complex ideas is a messy business. In the first couple of years, it's particularly messy, and then your ideas become more coherent. You have to do it in order to improve it. Keep these 3 ideas in mind. First, a PhD takes up to 4 years to complete for a reason. It's complicated. It is intended to build skills in research and writing. Second, when writing becomes difficult, stay curious about the work. Interrogate it. Ask questions of the ideas on the page, of your research questions, of the writers you're reading. And third, write your way into meaning making. Build up your ideas bit by bit. For example, in my PhD process, I write across all chapters at the same time, adding bits and pieces as I think of them. Some of this writing is deleted and disappears completely. Some paragraphs I save for future papers. Other paragraphs I keep almost unchanged until submission. So why is it so difficult to write? Well, read these little voices. Have you ever heard these voices inside your own mind? If you have, then this workshop's for you. I don't know what to write. My writing is so awful, I can't bear to look at it. I don't have time right now. I have other stuff to do. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm lost. My supervisors will hate it. I'm scared it won't be perfect. Who can write 50,000 words or 80,000 words? Crazy, it's too much. Help. I need to do more reading and more and more. If any of these thoughts haven't crossed your mind yet, they probably will. Here are some tips to overcome writer's block. Get ready now to try 2 or 3 of the following activities. Before we start though, you've got to get your thinking straight. Remind yourself that you're doing a PhD because you want to develop your research and writing skills. The PhD thesis is not finished until submission. Your research is developmental, and so is your writing. If the supervisor doesn't get any writing, what advice can they give? Nothing. 0. If you don't write, how can you improve your writing? You can't. If you don't write, how can you deepen your thinking? With enormous difficulty. The drafting process is a developmental process. Just as with design or multiple testing regimes, iterations of writing drafts tend to lead to greater depth of understanding and creativity. So, okay, what's the message? Write in order to write. First of all, give yourself permission to write badly. This gives you something to start with. Doing nothing results in nothing. Beginning a process of drafting and redrafting leads to a thesis or dissertation. Note, however, that it's important to share your work with others so you can get suggestions and feedback. Next, you have to make time for your writing on a regular basis. It's not enough to wait for year 3 and say, well, I'm writing up my research now. It's much better to train your brain to write from week 1 of the process. If you need motivation to write regularly, join a Shut Up and Write session. Most universities run them on a weekly basis, usually on different days, so you can get to the uni closest to you and join in, or go more often in a week. Check out the session at RMIT. Now, here's something unusual. If you have a writing block, try writing by hand. Research shows that the hand-brain connection can improve comprehension, memory, and your writing content. It's also a good way to keep online distractions at a distance so you can focus. Try it. It might work for you. Don't worry about your writing style, so long as you can read it. That's all that matters. If you want to read more about writing by hand, check out these articles. If you're stuck, make a writing plan. One way is to create a mind map or a linear plan. This mind map shows a skeleton plan for 2 sections of a chapter. It can be best to make mind maps on a sheet of paper. Try the paper version, but if you may prefer to use a computer program, RMIT University has rationale argument development software on my RMIT desktop. Or else check out our workshop on capturing the literature under the literature review. Now let's try making a plan. Take 5 to 10 minutes to make a mind map of a section of your thesis, such as the rationale, the reasons why the research has value. And if you're not ready for this, make a mind map of the ideas you found in a journal article. This will help you to summarize the article and identify the ideas that are relevant to your research project. Pause the video now if you'd like to get mind mapping. Here's an example of a mind map made for the rationale section of the thesis introduction for a PhD in education. You can see that there are 3 clear reasons why the research has value, and these reasons are explained. You put in the references so that they're easy to convert into in-text citations as part of your paragraphs. And of course, the more we write down our citations and the names of these people, the more familiar we become with them and with their ideas. Another suggestion, if you can't write content, write about the process. This is still training your brain to write. For example, write about 3 tasks you need to complete and explain to yourself how you'll complete them. If that's not what you feel like doing, try some free writing, what's also known as brainstorming in sentences. Instead of mind mapping, write out your thinking in full sentences. Don't let your inner critic get to you. Write whatever comes to your mind. This writing is often easiest just after you get out of bed, before your inner critic has woken up. Give yourself a time limit, 20 minutes for example, and write. Let's try a free writing activity. First though, we have to set some conditions. You have to write in sentences. You must not make any corrections. Write through or around judgments you make. For example, you can write, "This is not exactly what I mean, but I'll think about it." Or, "By complicated, I mean that it's difficult not to be subjective in the rating process." Just don't stop writing. Get a paper and pen or open up a text document on computer and write "my research" at the top. Set a timer for 10 minutes and then write the first thing that comes into your head about the research. Then after the 10 minutes, evaluate the experience. If you couldn't think of anything to write, you can use prompts such as the ones we suggest next. Here are some prompts for you to try. You can make your own prompts. For example, has your supervisor asked you any questions about your research? What do you understand by these questions? Can you answer them, or will you need to do something first? Or, did you read an article that prompted you to think about your research in a different way? Another tip to help you write is to always keep your eye on your thesis topic or your dissertation topic. What is it about? For non-science-based dissertations, and in particular practice-based research, the actual topic can be difficult to fix because it will change as the work develops. Come back to your research topic and questions again and again. Change them to refine what you're doing. Use it as a prompt for your free writing sessions. Here are 5 more activities that are useful to get you writing and keep you writing. Why don't you choose one of them right now and take 15 or 20 minutes to write? Put your timer on Pause the video, get writing. Now, here's a very valuable writing idea, writing your research story. The more familiar you become about telling the story, the easier it will be to write about it in the dissertation. So try one of these. This is a great writing exercise that helps you to visualize your audience. You're going to tell an educated audience about your thesis. Write a script that includes the research purpose, the potential research contribution, the research design and why you've chosen this particular design, any findings so far or what you expect to find, and something about the stakeholders and the benefits your research can bring. The current structure of the thesis and the exegesis, you can tell them about that as well, and how well it's working for you. You can tell them about any problems you're facing or you have faced, and how you're managing them. A research journal is an essential tool for art and design-based projects and projects involving fieldwork or any ethnographic data gathering. But it's also a really useful means of gathering in one place all the reflection and thoughts you're having about your research. In essence, the journal contains your research experience. The journal is a critical back and forth examination of the research or the process. It starts with reflection for planning. What will I do? Why? And how will I do it? And why? And next it captures the moment of research in action. What am I doing and why? What's happening? How is it happening and why? And then reflecting on the action that was taken. What have I done? What happened? How and why? And what do I think about it? And so the cycle goes on around and around and around in a kind of a spiral. Here's an extract from one of my early research journals. It contains thoughts, explanations, links to other ideas, diagrams and questions. It contains a lot of wondering. What if, what about, why and how. It identifies problems and discusses solutions. It's a personal journal. It's not for public view, so it's honest. It provides a snapshot of the research and dissertation processes. In conclusion, the link between the research process and the writing is critically important to developing a strong, coherent work. Why not become a serial writer? Think about what you're going to write next. Question your work. Use the Socratic method outlined in Reading Critically. Use the Pomodoro technique to manage your writing time. You'll find the time flies past. See the workshop on managing your research for information on this technique. A version of this technique is also used in Shut Up and Write sessions. If you get stuck, do something different. We've covered lots of writing tips for you to use. Be sure to make time to review what you've written. There are always gems among the rubbish, so don't throw it all away. Remember, a serial writer sees writing as a set of smaller tasks. In this way, the thesis grows and anxiety stays low. We hope this workshop's been useful. Keep trying out some of the suggested techniques and let us know how they work for you on the Graduate Researcher comments page. Wait, there's more. There's always more. Here are more suggestions for serial writing and thinking. Dive in. The water is warm. There are no sharks here, although there are some very, very deep thinking and deep feelings.